We give thanks to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Through your death and resurrection, you show us the way to union with you and to each other. You have brought us together again to proclaim the truth of your gospel. Give us life in you to sustain each other, build and lead this community of faith and truth, and make the most of every day your gift of life gives us. With Jesus in our hearts, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Move on now, Sam.
It's back.
These days have tested us, have demanded more from us. You have answered that challenge. Enjoy the consolation of being with your mates again and seeing your teachers face to face. Your teachers have assumed the greater burden of these last few months. Please be generous towards them and express your gratitude to them. Over these last few days, I've been mindful of the lyric from Green Day. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question. It's a lesson.
Good now.
From the Green Day quote to the principal, welcome back. I think there's been a few technical issues perhaps for sound for folks online. Hopefully that's been rectified now for everybody. Folks, I welcome you back, boys. It's great to have you here at school today. It really has been quite surreal over recent weeks to be in a big school like Nudgee with no boys here at all, or very, very small numbers. It just didn't feel like Nudgee. It was not the same. So we're delighted to have you 11 and 12 back today, obviously, and we're really looking forward to 2 weeks' time when we can be joined by other boys as well. Can I thank you, men, for the way that you engage with NC at home? Your attendance, your involvement in your schoolwork, the way you work with your teachers, the support of each other, the support of younger boys within your houses is a real credit to you individually and collectively. Importantly and strategically, we wanted you to remain connected with the school. We've done that in new and creative ways on a daily basis, in different classrooms and through different processes. Even the daily notices over the last couple of weeks have been a way to connect with each other, and they'll continue to be so for those boys who remain at home. I know there's been online house meetings that have really connected boys, particularly boarding, with each other while they've been in far and distant places around the community. I want to acknowledge that it hasn't been easy for Year 11 and 12 boys, but it hasn't been easy for anyone. I want to acknowledge for Year 12s as well, their situation and circumstance. It's kind of interesting when you have little choice in a particular situation that has such an impact for all of us. But that disappointment's understandable. We're going to work with you, and you'll get a sense of that today, but over the coming days and weeks about what will be for you into the future as well. Like everyone in society, we've all had to make sacrifices for the common good. But what's at the heart of all this? Effectively, boys, you've missed 4 weeks of school over the last 6 to 7 weeks. I know there's associated activities around school life that you've missed out on, and that's understandable as well. There's been personal things in your own family life, your own personal life that you may have missed, and they're things that are very, very difficult to get over for young people. I understand that. But today's all about resetting and creating your immediate and really, really engaging with an immediate focus. Your studies are a priority. Staying up to speed if that's where you're at. Getting up to speed if you're feeling you're a little bit behind. Importantly, I think today I want you to really enjoy being back at school and over the next few days, seeing your mates again, which is such the heart of Nudgee schooling. Talk with your teachers, share your stories, share your reflections of the things that you did and didn't do over the past 4 to 6 weeks as we've lived through this period of isolation and this period of lockdown. Fortunately for us in the school sense, that is now behind us to a degree. Mr. Mara urged you, and I would again commend you to thank your teachers. Thank your house deans, your PC tutors, your coaches, anyone who's supported you over this period of time, but particularly your classroom teacher. They have worked incredibly hard for you. It's hard to see the extra preparation that they've had to commit to their schoolwork over this period of time, but I know it has been there. So please thank them today and over the coming days as well. That thank you is by word and deed, and sometimes that deed is by just re-engaging with the work and really committing to your studies. You're going to have the school to yourself for the next couple of weeks, largely until the year 5s to 10s return in 2 weeks' time. So enjoy having that opportunity to just be here and be together and enjoy school life again. But the reality is, as Mr. Todd said, it's not school as we knew it. Some things have changed. Your hygiene practices, and you'll hear us re-emphasise that day in and day out over coming weeks. Social distancing has to be something we try to employ within a school situation, understanding that it's not always possible to do so. There's certain restrictions on what we can and can't do as well. There's certainly more that we can do than we can't, but that's something that we've got to be mindful. There will be no large gatherings, hence, as Mr. Todd said, we're doing this today. But over the next couple of weeks, there'll be no assemblies, there'll be no house assemblies, no cheering practice and other things. But we're going to learn to live with that. We're going to be creative in the ways that we do connect with each other. So for now, it's all about resetting. And to be fair, the end of the year, particularly I'm talking now to the year 12s, the end of the year, boys, will be determined largely by what happens in the next 4 weeks, the next 6 and 8 weeks as we roll through the rest of this term, and what happens into term 3 and before. More than it will be determined by what's happened in the last 4 to 6 weeks. You've got a choice. We can look forward, or we can keep looking back. We can get stuck on what didn't happen, or we can get into what is about to happen. You individually and collectively as a group will be defined by how you respond over the time ahead, how you re-engage, how you find your focus and reset within your classrooms, what you focus on today, what you focus on in the coming days in getting yourself going back into your school as well. I'll take us back to where we finished at the end of term 1. We talked about strengthen the stripes and the motto for this year. It's just a classic few words, a classic 5 words if we count it, 4 words, strengthen the stripes. It's something that we can use to motivate us, to keep us going in the weeks ahead as we re-engage with school. I'm delighted to have you back. I'm looking forward to the weeks that come. I'm looking forward to the rest of the year, boys. I hope you are too.
Good morning to Year 11 and 12. I share the thoughts of everyone else in saying it's thrilling to see you back here, and there's a really positive energy. So that's fantastic, but there's also some business to attend to, and that's learning and teaching. So I'm going to bring things down to a more detailed level and focus just on that today. So I've been saying all along that it's about control, and as Mr. Foley just said, our response. So we can control our learning and teaching, it's core business, particularly for Year 12, but also Year 11, and our response needs to be one of those moving forward. So we'll start off with lessons, and today you're in your first lesson, albeit a bit different, but the primary mode of delivery will be at school in your timetable class as you are now, and that will remain for the next 2 weeks and hopefully beyond for everyone at Nudgee from Year 5 right through Year 12. So you being at school today is the best way that you can progress your learning and teaching and move towards your QCE and ATAR or VET certificates or whatever else you might be studying. So please, thank you for coming today. Keep turning up. Nudgee's the best place for you. There are a small number of students who cannot be with us today in person. And part of us being an inclusive community is making sure that we include those boys in learning and teaching. So you'll see your staff put their Google Meet on and the audio playing as a bare minimum, and that's so that those boys who might be boarding interstate or even overseas can go in and participate in that class. But certainly the best thing for you to do is to be at school in class. The second thing is assessment, and I'll speak to Year 11 and 12 slightly differently in relation to this. The important thing to remember is assessment continues. In Year 11, Some of your formative internal assessment number 2s have been slightly altered. Maybe they've been changed a little bit shorter. Maybe the due date or the draft date has been altered a little bit. And that's in recognition of there has been some hardship for you in getting those completed in some cases. There also might have been some practically based tasks which you weren't able to complete on time. Work with your teachers year 11 and understand that whilst these adjustments have been made, they still need to be submitted because we need to finish Unit 1 in a couple of weeks' time and move on to Unit 2 so that you can progress through your QCE. Year 12, you've already received word from me over the last few weeks, and one internal assessment has been removed from every subject in all general and applied courses. The memo is still on the website and I'll follow up with some more information this week. So you know which IA you have for each subject, which one's been removed, and once again due dates have been altered, but the tasks remain the same because they're endorsed tasks that are consistent for everyone across the state. So that's important. And as I said, what I will do is I will send out some information, just remind you of those due dates and just outline those things I just said so that you and your parents can read them. Special consideration still remains as per QCAA guidelines. If you are enduring some hardship, you may apply for special consideration. But remember, if you do so, the assessment will still have to be completed, whether that's an extension or a comparable task. Being at home for the last few weeks and learning online is not grounds for special consideration. Grounds for special consideration remain if you are ill, get some evidence, if you have suffered a serious misadventure, such as a car accident, death in the family, or being stuck interstate and not being able to get across borders, they would be grounds for special consideration, and I urge you, particularly Year 12 boys, to come and see me about that at the Learning and Teaching Office so we can get the evidence together and make a fair decision. The last thing for Year 12, just to remind you that your marks are being confirmed by the QCAA. That means that at the end of this week, or actually I think Monday, the 18th, the QCAA will finalise all the marks and we'll be able to forward those to you. They won't change drastically from the feedback you got, but it's a process to ensure fairness across the state. And Year 12, we also have tomorrow afternoon, after lunch, academic mentoring meetings. You might recall doing one at the start of the year, and we're going to revisit those. We're going to look at your results, discuss your academic progress, and help you connect with someone in the college that can help you succeed, which I think is particularly important given that this is our first day back after many weeks off. So I urge you, despite the temptation of the school bell finishing at 1:05 on Tuesdays, to make sure that you are all present for those interviews. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in class, particularly my R&E class.
Good morning, boys, and I reiterate everyone's welcome back. I'm just going to talk about two things today. The first is sport, moving forward, and the second is just the building program. With sport, we are continuing what we're doing at the moment. So a lot of you are training online via various apps like Strava. That will continue for this week. There'll be a review of where we stand at the end of the week, and you'll be notified on how we're going to move forward. The Australian Institute of Sport has instigated a staged return to sport, and that's the program we will be following. What does Term 3 look like? At this stage, gentlemen, it looks like all sports, Term 2 and Term 3 sports will occur. Basketball, tennis, rugby and soccer will all run at the same time. That means you will have a choice on what sports you would like to do, what sport. You can choose one of those. In addition to that, anyone who wants to can still do cross-country. Cross-country will occur in about week 3. The GPS meet will still go ahead. In regards to sports, Mr. Kennellan sent out a Google form to you while you've been away and asked you to select what sport you would like to do if that choice was made available to you. The choice you made is not binding. You don't have to stay with that sport. It was just to give us an indication of what sport we could run. So watch this space, watch the notices, you will hear more about it. But in terms of using things like the gym, the pool, the track this week, we're still under social distancing restrictions. The gym's not open, and the track's not open for use in groups. The building program. Gentlemen, you've probably been around the school already and seen that the Tracy building program is still progressing and is well and truly into the meaty section of it. Gallagher still stands. It will stay until the end of term 3. What has changed is we've started work on the flats. If you saw the flats this morning, they are all now encircled by a fence, so you can't get down to the flats. In fact, you wouldn't be able to. They're half dug up now. One of the actual dams, the dam that's down near the red shed, it's now disappeared, and the dam that's down near the athletics track, it will go soon as well. So there's lots going on down there. So those ovals obviously are not available. So our only ovals available to us are Wilkes, Ross and Henry. That will mean when we do get back into training, there's going to be some serious scheduling has to occur. So again, watch this space for that. The final announcement about the school is Mount Zion Courts. You will have noticed this morning there is a fence around the courts as well. That fence will remain until the end of this week. Those courts are being resurfaced. That resurfacing will probably be complete by about Thursday, but then that needs time to settle. So perhaps next week, once we review the restrictions, Mount Zion Courts may be available for some use. That's it from me for the moment, gentlemen. Thanks, and I hope you have a good first day back.
Well, good morning, boys, and welcome. A message to many of my boarders. Thank you to the boys who returned yesterday evening. It was wonderful to welcome you back into our boarding village. To many of the boys who I know are residing in Brisbane and commuting every day to be a day boy or on our bus from the sunny coast each morning, I look forward to seeing you around campus in the next few days to get to hear some stories about how your time has been. I know some boys as well, Spare a Thought, who are travelling today, are still in transit, boys who are driving from Cairns, coming from Croydon and many other areas throughout Queensland. So we look forward to welcoming many more boys back throughout the coming days and week, back into boarding and back to Nudgee as well. As mentioned by Mr. Fulliger, we have a number of boys who are still stuck over the border in Northern Territory, New South Wales and so forth. So to those boys, I know that this will be recorded and sent out, I hope, later today. My message to you is that we certainly are working very hard to hopefully grant you some exemptions through the Queensland Government to be able to get you back to school as soon as possible. But in the meantime, I do urge you to stay connected with your classes online, keep emailing your teachers to make sure that you stay up to date with all of your work. Also, a message to our boys in PNG who have also not been able to return. We're working hard for you as well to see what we can do to support you in PNG during this time. My message to all Year 11s and 12s are that I hope that you will reach out in some way to many of the boys who haven't returned to make sure that they still feel connected and part of this cohort or both cohorts that have returned. It's going to still be some difficult times for those boys. They are all desperate to be back and so we hope to see them very soon. Gentlemen, all the best for what you are doing. One last shout out to Roland Johnson, who is currently quarantined down in the health centre. We wish Roland all the best, and we are working with Roland to make sure that we can get him back to class and back to the boarding village as soon as possible. Thanks, gents.
Thanks, Mr. Annetto. Gentlemen, I heard via various texts that came through from teachers, and thanks to those who did text, that at the beginning of our gathering this morning, you weren't able to hear me. I was just a talking head with no sound. I appreciate that's many of your dreams come true. It certainly is the college leadership team who are all nodding up here. But gentlemen, welcome back. It was great to see the blue and white uniform return to Nudgee this morning, and there was definitely a more positive energy on campus. It's been very, very different and a lesser place without you. We're returning, as we've said, to a new normal. Here are a couple of things for us to keep in mind. As we did this morning, gentlemen, we're actually heading off to our physical PC class, and work with your PC tutor there who's got a big job in managing you in front of them, but also doing PC online to the 7 to 10 students who aren't back here on campus just yet. So PC every morning as normal. Big brothers college captains and vice captains. That's junior school big brothers. We will meet in the Learning Centre every morning for our role. Gentlemen, morning tea and lunch operating on the NC at home timetable, and our assumption is that grade 12s will take up the spaces that they have used previously around Ross Oval and somewhat around Wilkes Oval. Of course, the Learning Centre will be a well patronised space. We would like grade 11s and 12s, please, to keep up to this top end of the school. So if that could be a focus for you, please, gentlemen, at morning tea and lunch, the top end of the school from the Learning Centre onwards. As Mr. Johnson hinted at, some of our spaces aren't available right now, but also this week during morning tea and lunch, we are avoiding any ball sports, so kicking a footy, a soccer ball, or throwing a basketball around. Just for this week, gentlemen, we'd ask that you refrain from that, and we won't have that as part of our morning tea and lunch. Certainly enjoy being present to each other, talking to each other, and catching up. During that time, we have to be sensible, use our common sense, but we have to do our best to apply social distancing. Of course, in our tuck shop, we have to do our best to apply that. As we sit around tables in the Learning Centre and in other places, we have to do our best to exercise social distancing. You would know that the rules of the outside community at this time don't 100% apply to school, but we are directed that where we can, we have to do our best. So Nudgee men, it's good that you are reconnecting with each other. We appreciate that. But some of your teachers today might just prompt you to move slightly further apart, and that will be happening in classrooms even now. What we want to avoid is any boys getting coronavirus or staff, which might then lead to a spot closure in the future. So we need to value that we are back, and we need to do our best that school remains now uninterrupted. Gentlemen, over the last few weeks, myself and many others have been making one-on-one Google Hangout appointments to catch up with Nudgee men while they are learning at home. And the feedback from those conversations has been virtually universal, that we are coping well with learning at home. Nudgee has done that well, but boys genuinely miss being here at school, and they are missing their mates. So Year 11 and 12 men, now that we are back, we need to make sure we illustrate how valuable this experience is that we have. We return absolutely with a sense of gratitude, and we take nothing for granted in terms of what we have. So we take our opportunities in class, and we value those mates that we missed, and we express that as best we can through our presence. But also in returning this morning, we know that we are back to this new normal, and that comes with some of the basics. Of course, we wear our uniform with pride, which is our formals at the moment, including our blazer. I'm hoping that, like me, you got a back-to-school haircut before you came this morning, and gentlemen, that you have had a shave. That I ask teachers to make that a focus. These are small signs that show us that we respect ourselves, we respect our school, and we respect the opportunity that we have been given. Gentlemen, let's make the most of this term that we have ahead of us. It is already special, and I know we will make it further special. Now, in beginning this morning, I believe that some of the prayer was not heard by students. I would call back to the microphone now again, Mr. Mara, for us to finish with the prayer, and we might even squeeze in the school song. It's great to have you back, Nudgee men.
Thank you, Mr. Todd. Let's just gather ourselves now. A lot of information this morning, as was necessary. The time now just to take a breath, gather our senses and prepare to pray together. I I'm not sure how much of the prayer you heard the first time round. I won't go through the entire little contribution that I made, but we will just concentrate on the prayer aspect. Many times in these last few months, we have looked for a way to bring life back to normal. And particularly during this Easter season, we have looked for ways that we could come together and enjoy life with each other again. In yesterday's gospel, Jesus told those who knew him best, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Via veritas vita. The way, the truth, the life. We give you thanks, Lord Jesus Christ. Through your death and resurrection, you show us the way to union with you and with each other. You have brought us together again to proclaim the truth of your gospel. Give us life in you to sustain each other, build and lead this community of faith and truth, and make the most of every day your gift of life has given to us. Live Jesus in our hearts. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Go well, gentlemen.
Spirit, beyond our victory, between our pride and glory, we are a sign of faith. There's a love I do not know, other sounds and furies fall. Great honor, great glory, great voice and great song. But when sound and fury fail that voice, and no real thing is great, I stand alone and dare to whisper love. I am the sign of faith. There's a love I do not know. Other sounds and furies fall. Great honor, great glory, great voice and great song. Fleeting life we have before us, yet always can we say, one small man, 10,000 brothers.